Good afternoon, everybody. We have hit the 2 p.m. mark today, so we'll go ahead and get started for today's presentation. Thank you all for joining our webinar on how to increase monthly recurring revenue with guest Wi-Fi analytics. So just a quick look at for today's agenda, where you're going to meet the team, everybody here at GoZone. From there, we're going to have a little introduction into GoZone and the history of the company. From there, we'll get into the meat and potatoes of it all, evaluating managed Wi-Fi services, talking a bit about sales and marketing strategies regarding Wi-Fi analytics, how to price managed Wi-Fi, and then finally supporting Wi-Fi analytics. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
Thank you, Asa. Great to be here. My name is Elizabeth Weddle. I am the Director of Marketing here at GoZone. And joining us today, we have Wayne Newton. Hi, Wayne.
Hi, everyone.
Wayne is our VP of Channel Partnerships. He works very closely with all of our MSP partners to help them bring our products and services to market and increase their MRR. We also have Todd Myers with us. Todd is the founder and CEO of GoZone. He is GoZone essentially. Hey, Todd.
We all are.
Yeah, he's the backbone. So happy to have you both here. Todd brings many years in the MSP space and a lot of experience, obviously working to build our solutions and bring those to market as well. So getting right into it, I'll pass it over to Todd just to give a brief introduction for those of you that aren't interested or aren't familiar with GoZone today.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Appreciate it. And for those of you that know me, hello. And for those of you that don't, give you a little background. I've got 30 years plus in the technology industry. This is one of many of the software as a service companies that I've started and founded. Usually has been created because there was a gap in a marketplace with myself being a service provider, whether it was a time where I was an ISP or previous to GoZone, I owned an MSP, a managed service provider. So, I understand what MSPs are looking for, easy solutions that are easy to sell, but very valuable to our customers to help, give us as MSPs differentiation from other MSPs that might be out there. And obviously, we also with that, of course, want to increase our ARPU with each one of our customers. So, we believe that GoZone has 3 unique platforms that can be utilized by managed service providers and is being used by many managed service providers as well. And not just important is our programs that we've got set up for service providers as well. So we understand there's a lot of different business models and we understand flexibility. So between the 3 of our different platforms being flexible and being able to offer competitive solutions for different customers and depending on different customer needs, we also have service provider programs that are customized for our managed service providers, whether it be white label or whether it is more of a reseller relationship where we are the GoZone is your partner essentially, and becoming the subject matter expert and actually co-presenting our solutions with you to your customer base. So that's a little bit of history on me and GoZone and our platforms, and I'll turn it back over to you, E.
Thanks, Todd. And I think it's really important that you highlighted that you have that specific background as an MSP, because one thing that I know I've learned over the years working at GoZone that I've heard over and over is that since we've designed our platforms that way, it's just evident in the way our platforms are built and the way that our platforms are priced, that not only did we develop these 3 products you see on the screen, ads, marketing, and analytics for Wi-Fi for the end venue, we really have always kept the MSP in mind at every single step. So it's really a twofold strategy that we have, and the topic of this conversation today is expanding on managed Wi-Fi to earn increased MRR for MSPs, and that's really at the core of our business model. So Wayne, I know you shared a few really interesting points on this before the call, and how really, if you're offering managed Wi-Fi, our solutions are just a natural extension of the business, right?
Yeah, and thanks for some of that, those introductory comments, because I think it's really important for all of us, those of you in the audience, those of you who might be listening to this later on as a recording, that we focus in on not only the feature sets of the product. So there's a lot of great things that our tool sets can do, and we'll cover off on some of those as we get into this a little bit more. But my background is primarily been on the networking hardware and software solution space, and most of that time I spent working directly with channel partners. When I joined GoZone, we were really investing in a lot of the operator and partner functionality that Elizabeth mentioned, and we're looking to significantly expand our partner base, which we've been doing for the last several years. Much of what we talked about doing, we put into practice now. And so as Elizabeth mentioned, I work with folks like you every single day, and we do get a lot of good feedback, not only on the features, but on the usability of it as a product for you as an operator. The programs are specifically designed with you in mind, as we'll get into in a little bit. And the whole idea is that you should be able to easily extend the kinds of service offerings that you're doing today, which are primarily managed IT, hopefully specifically managed Wi-Fi, and layer on these GoZone type tool sets to that managed Wi-Fi service provision as additional services that you can charge additional money for, but more importantly, add additional value to. You're going to get your clients to pay more because you're delivering more. So it's kind of a two-pronged approach from our standpoint: is build a bunch of tools that we know are highly valuable to your client venues, and then make it easy for you to add to your service offering, both by how simple it is to use yourself and how easy it is for you to price out, productize out, and turn into revenue for yourself and your client base.
Right, and easy to sell it, Wayne. I love what you always bring up, is that these are dollars that your customers are already spending somewhere else. So
yeah, and if they aren't, they should be. We'll talk a little bit as we get into this a little bit longer. Some of the impacts that the COVID experience has uniquely brought to us as an industry. But whether we're going through the challenges and the ups and downs that we've had over the past year or so, or if we're in more normal times, the fact is that client venues across multiple verticals are looking for ways to learn more about their customers, to engage more with their customers, and frankly would like to do it with as few solutions or providers as possible. So they're out there struggling to find answers, and you're sitting there with a relationship already doing really valuable things for them today, and you're the person that they're going to look to for that kind of consultation and for you to continue to answer more questions for them, not less. So it's really an opportunity for you to just grab it and solve the problems for them.
Yeah, and I think one thing to keep in mind here too is that IT budgets are always being looked at to shrink. I think the tools that we bring to the table, that again, Wayne, as you mentioned, can layer on to existing Wi-Fi managed services, that opens up a new budget, right? It's the marketing budget now, or it's more the business side of the house. So it now, definitely can attract different departments within an organization and the budgets that go along with it, of course. And that'll help overall increase the IT budget, but certainly service different organizations within the group.
Yeah, let's get into how we do that a little bit. Oh, go ahead, Wayne.
Yeah, I was going to say we put together this slide because it's a good place for us to kind of sit and talk through a lot of some decent specifics around some of the tool sets that are available. But one thing I'd like all of you that are listening to keep in mind is that these are all individually entry points for you as potential starting points for conversations with your customers and places that they can start taking advantage of this kind of thing. So not only is this a pretty comprehensive listing of the kinds of things that you could be looking to do, but it also might be the first way that you start to get the conversation going and revenue producing out of your clients, because each of them represent a unique interest that your client base might have. And we find that as we work with client venues and partners like you that serve them, that a lot of times they're interested in I just want to collect more data from a customer. Others are more interested in understanding like where are the people and what are some of the trends or the flows around just traffic. Others have more of an angle around promotional things or offers that can drive behavior. So there's a lot of different reasons for people to be interested in this kind of thing. And like we said earlier, they're going out there trying to find answers. And they've got, a really good answer sitting right there with you in the existing network that you're already providing them with. So just a little context behind this as we get into it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think the lowest hanging fruit or the lowest barrier to entry in your ability to add this type of Wi-Fi analytics onto your managed Wi-Fi services is that presence analytics. So how we define presence analytics is going to be, like Wayne said, the ability to visualize traffic patterns. It's really collecting all of the traffic data from your wireless network and presenting that information in a way that's visually able to analyze and then use that data to inform better strategic operations. So an example of that is actually a city that we work with in Canada, and they wanted to use presence analytics to collect information on where people are going once they park in their new parking garage. So when they park in the parking garage, are they then headed east to the museum, or are they going west down the waterfront and headed to the beach? They needed that information to provide information to their urban development department to really inform decisions on maybe where more parking is needed, or where they could set up concessions or other types of city amenities for folks that are downtown. And I know, Todd, you have a few other applications for that as well, but the presence analytics is definitely one that I think has one of the broadest applications, and it's very easy to tack on, and it's a natural extension of the business.
Yeah, for sure. I think, where I've seen value in it with some of our customer applications is, again, more of we have retailers that use it. I know to show footfall within a store, or how long people have been standing in front of a display. I think those are definite applications of presence analytics. I know I've seen another application of it where an access point has been placed in the front of the store. And if there's too many devices that are being counted essentially in that particular area, then it alerts the store manager so they can send up more cashiers up front. So it's
I love
real
that.
time.
That's so relevant in COVID.
Yeah, it is. I think in COVID times, we now see where, if there's too many devices in a particular area, now venues can actually send out I think they're called social presence, social distancing ambassadors.
Hall monitors.
Yeah, essentially hall monitors to kind of break people up. So, real-time actionable data, can allow us to take action in real time, essentially.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's plenty of use cases for that. And it kind of naturally drives us into the next section of analytics, which is marketing analytics. So the way we think of marketing analytics is data that's collected that goes on our Wi-Fi marketing platform, which is the ability to allow guests to log into Wi-Fi over a branded captive portal, the ability to use that information to re-engage with customers and engage with them while they're on premise to increase either their spend or inform them about on-premise activities or different features, as well as engaging with guests after they've left and building a CRM. So you're going to kind of evaluate your existing or prospective customer base and look at any venue or type of business that has on-premise guests that could benefit from knowing more about who those people are, how often they're visiting, and then talk to them after they leave.
One thing I was going to point out as we were kind of wrapping up that introduction to the presence side and moving into marketing is for those of you who may not have as much tenure providing managed services, or if you've joined the call with an interest in getting into the managed services game, we can be an entry point for that as well. So if you're in the more traditional resale model and are looking for ways to get into managed services, our platforms are a great entry point for you there. And on the marketing side of things, you're gonna find a lot of interest in your clientele, and you may even find that IT folks that you've been talking to are being bugged by their marketing counterparts to give them more, and they haven't been able to find answers. So you're going to be surprised when you start talking about some of these business-oriented types of applications, the kind of interest that you get, even out of unexpected areas like existing contacts that you have in IT.
Yeah, and I think COVID definitely, opened that up to find where the gaps were, right? I remember right after COVID started, we got calls from people that use our platform, and they thanked us essentially. Wow, if I didn't have this, I wouldn't have a way to really outbound communicate with my customers when we're open, when we're closed. Those businesses that did not have this type of solution really were scrambling at ways to find out who their customers were. They were at the mercy of Facebook or something where they would rely on a customer to look at and come to them, as opposed to pushing information out to customers to let them know that they're still around, or they have delivery services, et cetera. So there's a lot of value to understanding who your customers are, and that's going to be even more and more important now post COVID as well. I think a lot of brick and mortar businesses realized that, gee, we better get this, so it's an opportunity, I think, for the managed service providers.
Yeah, another thing to point out on this is that, and we find this a lot with larger public venues, but it can be anywhere where, a customer, so if somebody's going to come in and pay the bill for whatever it is that they did at that venue, oftentimes they're not alone. And so a customer database that's being driven out of a point of sale system or a ticketing system or anything like that doesn't really tell the whole story. And when you think about a guest Wi-Fi network, that's down to the individual. So if there's a table of 4, or there's 6 people that went to an event together, or you purchased something from somebody resold something that they had originally purchased, we sort of unlock some of the details behind, the people that are visiting, and give the venue access to a more complete picture. Because each person logs into the guest Wi-Fi network individually, and you have the ability to start a customer record and a unique engagement with each one of them versus just the person that plopped on the credit card or their name was on the membership card or whatever the case may be. So just starting to open up your thinking a little bit to the kinds of things that these tools provide and allow really allows you to have some intelligent conversations with your customers about ways that this can be put to use for them.
Yeah, and I just keep thinking that throughout everything you said, Wayne, is how fun it becomes once an MSP really is able to open that door into marketing departments, or open the door of understanding some of the more strategic challenges that businesses are facing beyond some of the more basic IT functionality, and really gaining access to what's at the root of some of the issues they've come up against, and having those conversations that make you, you say you can be differentiated from the competition with just providing a service, but it's really it's the customer service, and it's the support, and it's the relationship and building trust that is making you sticky against the competition today. And yes, our technology is state of the art, and we're always innovating, and we're always building and developing, but it's really about how we help you build better relationships with your customers by doing everything you just said, Wayne, that I think makes all the difference.
Well, and you by definition, a client has turned over whatever portion of whatever they're having you do to you, and are paying you monthly, or for under a long-term contract, or whatever the setup is, because they trust you. They are looking to you to do something that they would otherwise do themselves, because they believe you're going to do a better job of it, and for that they're paying you. There's a consultation component of that I think is expected or implied as well, and so they're looking to you for answers. And the great thing about the kinds of stuff that we do is that we don't really have to cook most of this stuff up. Most of what we're talking about with you guys today are the result of talking to people like you in previous experiences and stuff. And so building the programs, or I'm sorry, the tools that we have, the programs that allow us to give you opportunities to monetize it. And then that last I think, an important piece or component of it, which is the service and support that allows you to continue to be consultative, like you are in some of the areas that you're more familiar or experienced with, is sort of the punctuation behind all this. And I think that's where we go next with our conversation on the next slide, is just how do we help you price this, and how do we help you provide that kind of service and consultative support that you're accustomed to giving them in other ways.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And just before we jump into that, I think I just want to cover off on our third type of analytics as we look at it and define it as advertising analytics. So we relate that to our Wi-Fi advertising platform, which gives venues the ability to showcase first or third party ads on a splash and or landing page and earn direct ROI on their Wi-Fi investment in that way. So what analytics is that going to provide, and how is that going to help your relationship or help your venue's business? The venue is now going to be able to collect demographics about who the ads are being served to. We're going to be able to see how many ads were served. We're going to be able to see what revenue was generated off of those impressions, click-through rates. We're going to see what type of traffic is being pushed to those first or third party websites based on whatever the venue decides to do with their advertising model. So we're seeing a lot of conversations around Wi-Fi advertising right now. With Wi-Fi 6 coming up, there's a lot of need to generate a return on these investments. And this is a very, very simple, really, way for venues to earn a direct return on their Wi-Fi investment.
Yeah, I think what I've seen just over the past month or so, really, now that the world is opening up again, is that we have a lot of municipalities, as an example, that have these Wi-Fi networks. They're looking to figure out ways to both expand them, because they, during COVID, discovered there's gaps, and that's what we all call the digital divide, right? So they're looking at ways to expand those Wi-Fi networks out to the community, as well as finding ways to upgrade that technology. Maybe it's been there for quite some time, and like you mentioned, Wi-Fi 6 is going to be just explosive over the next couple of years. And we need to find ways to provide revenue that covers the cost of those things. So advertising is one of those opportunities, and also in the stadiums, convention centers, et cetera. They have their own sales team. They sell advertising. It's a natural extension to any stadium. If you're an MSP and you deal with stadiums, you should immediately be talking to them today about our advertising analytics, because it's just one more way to get an eyeball, especially as fans begin to fill the stadiums again. It's huge. Or if you are a managed service provider that deals with malls, the malls need to help their tenants produce revenue, and if they can do that through marketing efforts, then they're doing their job, right, and fulfilling what's they're charging CAM for, common area maintenance. So these are all additional ways from a business side that Wi-Fi and analytics can help you as a service provider add that value to your customers.
You're reminding me a lot of the conversation. We're going to say the same thing.
Yes.
You're reminding me of the conversation we had a couple of weeks ago about Wi-Fi advertising, and that was one of our recent webinars. And we'll share the link to that webinar in our webinar library at the end of this. But there's a lot more to it. And if, like Todd said, if you're selling to venues like stadiums, cities, any venue that has a relationship with a sponsor base, it's a no-brainer, really.
The advertising element of this, for those of you on the call or listening later, is actually probably the best example from my perspective of how approachable using tools like GoZone can be for you to get into new businesses. Because advertising, to me, just kind of putting my my channel hat on and thinking about most of the businesses and people that I've worked with in my career, it sounds intimidating. It sounds like something that I don't have a lot of expertise in. It's going to be difficult for me to potentially offer this, and it's not, because the way that we do it and the way that we talk about it is it's just a actionable set of campaigns that can be served up over a guest Wi-Fi network that's part of the onboarding process is you allow a guest to connect. So all the work associated with providing for that advertising is done by us on the platform side. And all you have to do as an MSP is just really look for opportunities where your venues are looking to take advantage of the ability to put, actionable messaging in front of people as a part of their logging onto that network. So we've talked a lot about, the things that we can do. We've also tried to convince you that we make it easy. Advertising is, especially now, low-hanging fruit that is very easy for you to get into because GoZone's done all the heavy lifting. And I guess as we talk about that, the way that we try to do everything is to build the technology, provide the feature sets, and then think about how we can productize it and turn it programmatically into things that you can easily incorporate into the way that you do business today. So if you're asking about how we price this kind of stuff, it's exactly the way that you price things. So if you've got multi-year contracts, we've got multi-year plans that you can purchase. If you sell everything by monthly service costs, you can buy our stuff in monthly service costs. As Todd said, if you don't want to get involved in a lot of the details of it, we can do most everything for you, and you can just make margin on selling our stuff. So there's a variety of ways for you to conduct business with us that will be amenable to the way that you conduct business yourselves. And we also offer flexibility. So you can start out with us in one way, and you can grow and graduate and evolve into some of the other plans that might fit your needs better as our business together grows. Then the last component of it is that we don't expect everybody to be experts on this right away. It is fairly simple to get to be good at, and so we provide you with that training and the support that's necessary to get you up and running. But we also provide professional services so that if you or your clients don't want to do things or don't have the expertise or resources.
I lost Wayne's audio. Did you, Todd?
Yeah, I lost your audio too, but I think I'll finish it off for him and while his mic resets. But the professional services is something that I always relied on as a managed service provider. I remember when we got into voice over IP, we weren't experts at it at the time. So the company that we had partnered with helped us on our sales calls. They gave us materials, et cetera. So those are important components. So, software is one thing, but, having the support behind it to make sure that we're selling it and supporting it properly is huge. And that's something
right.
we make sure we do.
And support bringing it to market as well. As director of marketing, I'm obviously in charge of all of our brand marketing and everything we do is for GoZone as a business to market our products and services. But I'm also extremely involved in leading our professional services team and helping our partners bring this to market. So we help you identify your target customers. We help with your existing value proposition and weaving in the GoZone value prop into that and helping you figure out the best route to market for your specific business in a consultative role. So really each of those different areas, sales, marketing, and technical support, you can leverage us as much or as little as you'd like. And Wayne, I don't know if we have you back.
No.
I am getting really good at reading your lips, though. It's like kind of freaky.
All right.
So the final point that we'll cover, and we only have a few minutes left, so Wayne, no worries. Really, we just, as we've covered off throughout this entire conversation, we want to keep it simple. We've designed our platforms, our products to keep it simple for you to bring this to market, to sell it, and to support it. So how do we recommend you do that? Just a few best practices, and none of this is going to be new. We're preaching to the choir. Where you want to start is your current book of business, right? And we've kind of given you some tips on how to identify who would be target customers for you, the types of venues, right? The types of venues that have a guest Wi-Fi network where you're offering managed Wi-Fi. That's the lowest hanging fruit. You also want to use it to reach new business, right? So let's say your customer set was really focused in office space. Well, obviously with work from home, there's been a huge drop of office Wi-Fi needs. So maybe you're looking to reach new industries and reach into some new types of businesses. This is a great way to do that, like we touched on earlier. We can help with that as well. And then productizing and packaging, obviously that's a no-brainer. Wayne, I know you were going to touch on that piece a little bit, so I'm going to give you one more chance to chime in if you're here with us. Sing a song, Wayne Newton. Nah, no donkey shank today. Okay. Todd, did I lose you? I can't hear you laugh.
No, I muted out purposely because I want to make sure I hear his singing.
Well, I guess he's just going to have to dance then. No, all right. And then as we covered off on earlier, flip it. You got to write it backwards. As we covered off on earlier, the advantage of speaking to both marketing and IT departments. We've just seen success there over and over, and it's just so fun to see those conversations grow over time. And then lastly, that customer service is a game changer, and you know this as well as we do. And again, just using tools like Wi-Fi analytics and marketing to just reach more into the heart of your customer's business and really what keeps them going, help them identify challenges and solutions to those challenges through technology and through relationships, really. So I think that we are out of time, but as we mentioned earlier, we have a few links here of resources if you want to learn more. You can check out our partners page and learn more about our programs. As Wayne mentioned, they're flexible, we're consultative, we're here to design a program that would work best for you. And if you want to learn more about Wi-Fi advertising or some of the other topics we touched on earlier, we have a large host of webinars in our webinar library, so feel free to check that out as well. And if you want to talk, we're here. We obviously could talk all day. Even Wayne, when we can't hear him, he would probably keep going for 30 minutes before he knew if we weren't here to remind him. But feel free to use the Calendly link there as well if you want to grab some time with any of us. If you have any upcoming or existing opportunities that you think could be a fit, we're here to talk. It doesn't have to be formal. We like to keep it casual, and I know we could all use more human interaction these days. So we're here to help, and we're really grateful for everyone that took the time to join.
Thanks very much, everybody. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye, Wayne.
Bye.